Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new episode of I actually have the lunch break special overlay, but it's not the Xbox lunch break special because that is Monday with Fuzzy. I got to change that real quick. Sorry about that, folks. I was busy playing Metaphor and I was almost late for the show. Here we go. Welcome to the Xbox Factor Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. Today I'm here with Jamie Moran. We should have Infinite Umbra, Mr. Metaphor himself, joining us. I got to tell you, folks, I have never been an Atlas guy. And I said this in a tweet, not because the games aren't good. I always observed from a distance and was always very happy for anyone that enjoyed those games. Unicorn Overlord is another one that a lot of people have really enjoyed. For me personally, they're very dense. They're very long. JRPGs, I do like. Some of them I really love. Some of them I'm okay with. And it just so happens that Metaphor happens to be, man, I mean, this is just a demo. I'm at the end of it now. I have already paid for and bought the actual game. I cannot wait for it. I was going to get the $99 edition that they have on Xbox, but it's not enough there for the extra 30-something bucks. It's a bunch of digital stuff that I'm not going to use. So I'm going to just stick with the regular edition. But folks, we have a great show for you today. We're going to get into, of course, Metaphor, which a lot of people are already calling Game of the Year. Some of the scores have been outrageous. It is currently a higher meta than Final Fantasy Rebirth. It actually has a higher meta than Astrobot, which is, again, two games that are definitely going to be in the talks for the end of the year, Game of the Year conversation, especially during the Game Awards for certain. But Metaphor, I think, is going to wind up handily winning everything, to be honest with you. It's just that amazing of a game. Of course, we're going to open the show with the Unreal Engine 5 Halo news. I think it's phenomenal. I know Umbra is here, who can't wait to talk about it. I know Jamie has had a lot to say. Halo, it seems to have a rebirth, so to speak, and it was done right in front of our eyes on a Sunday evening, which is unusual. And somehow or another, the news broke right before the Halo Championships, which, again, I'm not an esports guy, so I can't even tell you who won. But what I can tell you is that the move to Unreal Engine 5, for me, is the right move. And I know there's been a lot of people about, oh, boom, but they can't do 60 frames per second. Yes, they can, because the Coalition has been doing it for years with Gears multiplayer. And even though it's different, there is a chance, and I believe they're going to be able to do this for anything multiplayer, is going to be running at 60 frames, maybe even more. And of course, to transition from the Metaphor conversation, it's a conversation I wanted to have last week, and unfortunately, there was so much breaking news that we didn't get to it. I don't think Xbox players understand how big of a marketing push Xbox has in October with some of the games that they have marketing rights to. It's pretty bonkers. But let's welcome in everybody. Of course, Jamie Moran, how you feeling, brother? Welcome back.
Hey, man, happy to be here. It's been a good week for gaming news. And look, the Alien Isolation 2 stuff dropped yesterday.
Oh, yes.
I am on cloud 9 right now. I've been waiting a decade for this thing to be announced, like literally so long. So I couldn't be happier. And the Unreal Engine stuff, obviously we're going to talk about it. It's been a good week, and I'm actually in a really good mood, and I think we should get into it.
Absolutely. And of course, Infinite Umbra, or should I say Mr. Metaphor himself. I think you're on cloud 9 yourself, right along with the Black Viking, who is reviewing it. By the way, he was lucky enough to get a code to review. I was talking with him in the DMs. He's over 22 hours into it. It's already his game of the year for good reason. Your review was chef's kiss, fantastic. And again, listen, I'm not an Atlas guy. Well, now I am, kind sir. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, Boom. I just want to direct hate rays that toward Black Viking for getting the code when I didn't. But yeah. No, I'm not surprised at the scores. If anybody checked out my previews for it, you would see
phenomenal.
Yes,
so well written, brother. I got to tell you, props
Thank
to you. Very well thought. Your reviews are fantastic. Like, you could logistically do them professionally, and you would get a lot of clout because they're well written, they're well thought out, and you're always talking to gamers, not through us. How you do your, I really appreciate.
I appreciate that, brother. Thank you. Yeah, my aim was to just kind of speak on it as, I guess like how gamers would see it, and like just speak to it in that way, not try to like sound too like, hoity-toity, if you will, and talk at anybody. It was just kind of tell them how I saw it and how I felt about it, whatever. Yeah, I will say like I'll add in my own Umbra-isms, if you will, but then it gets run through this kind of thing that Kay would do for the blog, and it kind of corrects it, and I'm like, leave it, okay, whatever. So it'll properfy it'll properfy my words. I'm like, okay, whatever, just keep it that way, I guess. But no, it's fun to do. Actually, I've actually started to enjoy doing them, and that game, man, I knew it was going to do something special. I really did, and I'm still going to do a full review of it once I get a chance to get a full, playthrough of it and everything. It's about 80 to 100 hours, so I got a lot of work ahead of me, but I'm ready to do that. And of course, we got to talk about the best engine in gaming, of course, Unreal Engine 5. And I think I spoke this into, and as you would say, boom, into fruition, because it seems like all of Xbox is using Unreal Engine 5 in their games nowadays. I'm just saying.
I mean, it makes sense to do so. One, it's a widely used engine. It is the engine that's tip of the spear. Again, there's going to be a lot of pushback. I'm sure there's going to be people in the chat, and we're going to get to everybody here. If you have a difference of opinion when it comes to Unreal Engine, specifically with Halo, please put it in the chat, and we will discuss it publicly. Because again, I saw a lot of people push back on it. Jamie, you had something interesting that people were saying regarding multi-plat, which I find to be hilarious at this point, because again, no one could ever be happy. Again, thank you yesterday for the Earth Defense Force, Umbra, regarding the cheap shot, at least I thought, from Paul Tassi. Because I literally, and I guess maybe I was being a little bit, pointed when I said that all he does is pretty much shit on Xbox for SEO content. Obviously search engine optimization is what guys like Paul and many of the journalists in the community live for, right? That's what they live for, because they live and breathe and die. Because unfortunately, for me, I do this as a hobby. Now, has it turned into a small business? It absolutely has. But this is something that I do. I worked super hard early and young, and I retired early and young. Doesn't happen for everyone, but I'm very fortunate. And I never take anything for granted. So I do this as a hobby. I actually look forward to putting these shows together, not only for my own mental health, because again, when you're retired and you ran at 100 miles an hour for as long as I did, and I always ran at 110 whenever the uniform went on until the uniform came off. That's the kind of cop I was, trying to help as many people in my path. So when that's taken away from you, and it was taken away from me because of this surgically repaired spinal cord, I had to figure out what to do. And this, which is why I'm so tenacious about the way I do my content, how I can put 5 days of content together, even when there's not a lot to talk about. I read 30 articles a day. I write a lot. So I do this as a hobby. People like Paul Tassi, this is their job, and they live and die on the vine. And I think that YouTubers, and it doesn't matter how many subs you have, are potentially a threat for gaming journalism as we know it. They have to be pointed and disingenuous because they're trying to, garner hate for their articles to get what? Money, get clicks, get subscribers, get people to sign on to their content that's hidden behind a paywall like some other journalists. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. I'm just saying that they are worried about podcasters like the three of us on this show right now, because we do this as a hobby and people tune into our shows to watch because we are part of the community. They are not. They are considered outsiders, at least in my opinion. So thank you yesterday for Umbra for kind of letting him know about himself. You did it in a very politically correct way. And I just feel that it's just sickening at this point that even if you are a journalist, the fact that you can't get excited for something as legendary as Halo tells me that you're just just either just a liar or just a disingenuous POS, in my opinion. But
or jaded.
Jaded to the point where, and again, jaded is a great way to put it.
Yeah.
I
And I think that's what it really comes down to. It's just
Yeah.
this kind of jaded energy when it comes to Halo. And I get it. Like in some ways, yeah, they haven't lived up to the standards that we would expect at all times. But Infinite is a great game. It's just weird, this revisionist history where we have to keep trying to play around like, oh, they haven't turned in good works. Like, what world are you in? Like, I'm trying to figure this out. And this game, mind you, scored 9s and 10s and all of that and landed what is it? Halo
87.
Yeah, 87. It's almost a 90.
Yeah.
Why we have to pretend like the 343 hasn't turned in good work? I don't understand this. Yes, they've made mistakes. The content roadmap was terrible. They did not do a good job moving to live service. We can all agree. But they've since corrected a lot of that. And I mean, they still got a ways to go. But I'm not going to sit there and be like, well, you did wrong this one time, so I'm just going to hold it against you perpetually and forever. It's like, it's so stupid to me. I just thought for his response, it's not, and I've said this before and I'll say it again. I don't think that Paul is anti-Xbox, but I think though is that he will say things without fully giving nuance or I guess a well thought out response. And it's and I get it because you're clashing with so many people online, right? He has a lot of people probably saying something to him, so he probably saw yours as some attack when it was just you saying, hey, why are you just responding negatively to this? And that's why I had to point out to him, he's like, it's not my job to be excited. But I'm like, well, it's also not your job to be negative or skeptical either.
Yep.
Somebody tried to argue me down. Well, he's a journalist. He's an investigative journalist. What does that have to do?
I wouldn't know so much about that, investigative or not.
It had nothing to do with
I'll put it to this way, and maybe I'm being a little facetious here. I can get in the same rooms as Paul. So what does that really say for him? If I can get invited to these events, and I've been invited to quite a few things that I don't talk about because it's not necessary. I don't need to talk about it. I got invited to something that I will not be doing my show Friday morning. Is he going to be in the room? Potentially, but I'm getting into the same rooms as him. So what does that say for him? Is he some champion of justice journalist? I don't think so. I think he's a human being just like me. And I think that, and I've championed Paul many times. You've heard me say that, many times. What I think I took away from yesterday that hit a nerve for me is he blatantly said that I was he assumed that I was implying that he was paid off by PlayStation. I have never even suggested such a thing. And when I responded to him, of course, I didn't get hey, you know what? You're right. Apologies, brother. I didn't mean that you were saying that I was paid by PlayStation. No, I have never said that about another journalist. I've said that their SEO's click stuff is paid by PlayStation. I didn't specifically say him. I said places like IGN, who is funded at least 40+% of their ad rev comes from PlayStation. That's not saying they're paid off. That's saying that their ad revenue comes from PlayStation. That's a fact. So I was a little pissed with that. But look, we're here to have fun. We're here to be positive, and I do want to get right into it. Umbra, I'm gonna go to you first on this. You, as everyone know, are Mr. Unreal Engine 5. I think that considering this Slipspace engine, I think it works fine for multiplayer. I have over nearly 23 days in Halo Infinite. I make no apologies for it. They get me every time they have a new season. I drop $45. I get like the one of the biggest coin packages you can get. I buy the skins. I buy the weapon skins. You name it, I buy it. I'm a Halo stan. I make no apologies for it, and I love it. No one puts 23 days into something they don't love, so I'm all in on Halo and specifically Halo Infinite. But I think that when you are trying, and I said this yesterday, and this is the best way I could describe it, Umbra. When you're trying to shed the skin of past failings, you need to go big. And I don't think they could have gone any bigger with many things here. One, it's no longer 343 Industries, which has been, for the most part, run into the ground. Like I said, past leadership was not doing the job. And the Halo brand fell down to a very, very, very low point in Xbox. And unfortunately, this is, and I don't care what anyone says, a flagship IP that deserves to be handled and put in one of the major, in the crown of Xbox. This is the center crown that should be shining the best. You have in that front part of the crown Gears, Halo, and Forza. These are the pillars of Xbox, and they should be the shining jewels in this crown. And listen, Gears is going to come back in a big way. Forza continues to drive down the path and just be a champion to anyone that likes racers. This new direction for Halo tells me that they've heard our cries. They are out to make some big changes. The fact that the studio has shed its skin and it's now Halo Studios, which, by the way, I really do like the logo because of how different it is. It is not your typical metal Halo with a blue, like line in it. It is its own thing. Great step number one. For me personally, considering that you have the Coalition as one of your main top studios who are the masters of the Unreal Engine, is a shifting to this engine, I think, is going to pay dividends for Halo. I've ranted enough. I want to hear what you have to say, Umbra.
Yeah, specifically to Unreal Engine, right?
Yeah, by all means.
Well, for me, listen, it's only so much praise I can heap up onto Unreal Engine before I start getting my checks from Sweeney. And it's funny, by the way, because he was tagged in one of them by Mav. Mav saw the light, by the way, and he was like, "Oh, Umbra," because anybody who has talked with me, I've been saying this for a long time that I want Halo to use Unreal Engine, and I've also been praising Unreal Engine relentlessly any chance I get, to the point where people know me and they say, "Oh, it's Unreal Umbra," whatever, right? They know. So this to me is just like I spoke this into existence. You all are all welcome in the chat. I don't want to hear any any disses. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear any negativity, except your new Lord and Savior, Unreal. So it's a beautiful thing for me, man. Part of my reasoning for wanting them to go to Unreal is because when you think of, and you're welcome, Thanos. When I think of Halo, I go back to Halo CE, and they it's funny because the gentleman in the video actually mentions that and says that Halo used to be this kind of flagship, not flagship. He said this visual like masterpiece, like a showpiece, and Halo CE was that thing back then, right? And they've kind of got away from that. Now, part 4 got back toward it. If anybody remembers, that was at the tail end of the 360, and that looked gorgeous. Halo 4 looked like it shouldn't have been on the 360. That's how good it looked, right? So they've had instances where they've had great looking Halo games, and it started off that way. So hearing them talk about that and that being part of their reasoning, to me, automatically tells me, yeah, you're going for, to reestablish Halo as the tent pole that it is and that it should be. And for me, tent poles, especially for PlayStation or Xbox, I would have said Nintendo, but Nintendo, they're on their own thing, right? They don't have to have these visual showpieces. I think Xbox and PlayStation do, and it's because the hardware demands it. And I think because of the hardware that we have here for both, is you want to kind of show that off, and so you have to use what is essentially the mascot for that platform to showcase it. And now Xbox has a lot more icons and flagships that they can plant that flag at, but for Xbox, there is no other mascot and icon that replaces the Master Chief. So you know what I mean? So hearing them say, yeah, that's part of the reasoning, I'm already liking their philosophy. You hear them talk on there, speaking of the biomes and all these different things. They showcase how great the game looks with forerunner structures and in the Master Chief and his Mark V, and of course the beautiful Magnum, all in Unreal Engine. You see the Sangeli, the elites, in other words, and you see the classic callback to that. It's very clear that they're going to go, by the way, just as an aside, they're going to give us some type of Halo CE reboot, remaster, if you will, or remake, should I say. It's very clear. And
Well, it
so,
would be a good test. I mean, it would
yeah.
honestly be look, all of the screenshots and some of the video that we saw was from what appeared to be right out of Halo Combat Evolved. That's why that
Mhm.
Master Chief armor, like I saw a lot of people picking on it, being why is it so bulky? Why is it so like
I saw that.
yeah, but that's the armor. You,
That's
you
the
know what I'm
armor we
saying?
saw. We first
That's
began
the
with.
first armor. I think it's the Mark V armor,
It's
if
the
I'm
Mark
not
V.
yeah, the Mark V.
Yep.
So I am correct in saying that is what it is, and it was thick, and it
Mhm.
was, that's just how his armor was. So I don't expect them to go and put the armor from Infinite on the original Halo, because what that would be out of place.
Yeah, and that's why you know that this test, well, I guess tech, whatever demo
Mhm.
thing that they're doing here is setting the groundwork for them doing this remake for Halo CE. Those rumors, it just too much adds up, too much smoke leads to the fire, and that we saw all of this. They're not showing you that for nothing. Hell, Pierre Heinz, it literally says in the video at the tail end, like the stuff you're seeing here is definitely going to be used for projects we have going forward. Yeah, that they're using that because it's going to be for the Halo remake, Halo CE remake, to be clear. That doesn't mean though that they're not going to do anything after Infinite to continue that story strand. At least I prayed that they don't, because I think they made that mistake in some ways already with Halo 4 to 5, where they just kind of well, we just got rid of the what's his name?
The Prometheans, yeah, they were
What's my
gone.
man's name though? The lead Promethean.
Oh,
The Forerunners have returned.
yeah,
What's his name?
The didact.
The Didact. Thank
yeah,
you.
that's it. Yep.
Yeah, so they kind of swept him under the rug after our encounter in 4. I don't want them to do that
Well, they kind
again.
of swept Atriox under the rug too,
That's
right?
why they can't. That's why they can't do it.
They
Now, last
sweep
we saw,
Locke and Team Osiris and a
see,
whole bunch of
it's too
things.
much.
It's too
It's too
much.
much that you
Yeah.
can't just leave right there. And the Atriox last we saw was beating our ass. So we got to get our revenge. Boom. We cannot just get. He tossed us. He tossed Chief around like he was a
Like a
child.
rag doll. Yeah, he
Yeah,
beat
he
his
did.
he beat him down cowboy style is what he
He
did.
beat him. He beat him bad. And again, we can't just leave off like that to start over. He now what if they do start over and we don't get to continue? He would have beat us into a remake.
I am gonna be pretty pissed. I'm gonna be honest with you. But
Yeah.
again, there's still hope, because remember, multiple projects are in development. So
Yeah. That's why I'm hopeful, because it seems like they have so much aligned now. And that's why I'm really hoping out. As an aside, I'll throw this out there. I'm fine with the name change. I will say though that the logo does need a little bit of work. I'm not blown away by it, but you can kind of see that it's based off the kind of Forerunner style design.
it's
And
not the
yeah,
see. So to that point, I understand how it's a bit jarring for some people, because it's very unusual, the logo, and it's nothing like any of the originals. Like if you go back and you look at the Bungie logo from Combat Evolved, Halo 2, Halo 3, and Reach, very different. You go back to 343 Industries, which I think was done on a paper napkin, and just, hey, this is what we're going to go with, run with it, do the print. There was
right.
literally nothing to it other than a 343 and an I, whoop-de-doo.
Yeah.
This is so different.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is why I appreciate it. Now, granted, I saw some people say it looks like a marshmallow. It kind of does a little bit. Look, I've seen people go compare it to clouds a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah. It has a. I'm not trying to be funny here. A Halo, Hello Kitty kind of, like bubbly feel to it. But I think that when you are trying to start from the ashes and start new, could it have been more pointed? Could it have been more? I don't know, manly, I guess, or dude bro shooter is. I guess. But I listen, at this point, I understand that there are some people like me who actually like it. I know that Nick from Xbox Era was like, "Yep, no, I don't like that logo." Is anyone with me?
Oh, I saw his tweet. Yeah,
It was funny.
yeah.
I'm not sure
I
if
don't hate it. I just will. I kind of wish they would have kind of just used the Halo that we know, the the Halo wording.
the cold, the blue line, the metal, the metal.
And yeah, whatever though. It's not the biggest deal. I just feel it's not the coolest design. But hey, that's just me. Not everybody has to feel the way I'd feel on it. But yeah, like as I said, man, to me, I love everything that we saw. I thought that was how they introduced it right before the finals with their HCS finals. Shout out to the winners. I forgot the names right now. I know they'd be Optics. Yeah, I thought that was just really well done overall, and to me, it excited the hell out of me so much that we did a pre-record for the Infinite the other day because Risk is traveling and such. I could barely contain my excitement, man. I was just all over the place. I was just really excited.
You were an Unreal Engine 5 fan.
Oh, yeah.
Halo is a legendary IP.
My favorite
is
IP.
a massive change, Umbra. This is listen, I don't think it was given as much coverage as I would have liked. And again, it did happen on a Sunday, so there were some people like Mav that literally went live to talk about it. And the people in the chat, I was one of them, were very excited. I think that there is way more upside to this than the downside. And again, I understand that there are a lot of people that feel, and Hargeet's one of them specifically. I'm going to read his message chat right now. But I get some of the concerns, but I think that when no one makes this kind of a move unless they are 1,000% confident that they could make Halo run and look like we have known for years,
100%,
just under a new engine.
Yep. And then, by the way, like we talk about the Unreal things, I didn't really go into is with the technical side, and I'm going to shut up because I know you got to read that, and Jamie got his bars out, but the things that people kind of ignore is that I mentioned it earlier. A lot of Xbox studios are using Unreal.
Yes.
Coalition are masters at it. Them moving to Unreal not only speeds up the process of us getting content from them and games from them, it also means that most people, and largely anybody coming out of college and learning this stuff, is they're learning from Unreal. So they're going to come into the thing not having to have dealt with an old Blam engine iterated into slip space anymore. Right. Now they don't have to wrestle with that. Now they just get straight to the game making with what they know. Also, they have so many helpful people within Xbox Game Studios that can help them overcome anything and obstacles they have. So,
well, I mean, think about this. To that, if I may add some context to that before we bring Jamie in, think about this for a second. Who are the current reigning supreme champions of Unreal Engine? Well, that would be the Coalition. But you know who gave them a run for their money? That'd be Ninja Theory, who gave them a run for their money, and at the time benchmarked Unreal Engine 5 for Hellblade 2. That's why it looks the way it does. So now you have two studios that could logistically lend a hand to Halo. And you could get, I mean, think about this for a second. Look at the trailer that we got for E-Day. Everyone was completely blown away, done in Unreal Engine 5. But if you want to just do, instead of just comparing Halo to a trailer, could you imagine a Master Chief that runs and looks like Hellblade 2? Holy free, yes, sign me right up. I don't know, man.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. you preaching to the choir here. Let me tell you something. I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
Again, this is a developing story. We have a lot of press that you can go and easily find. I'm not going to read the press release verbatim like I did yesterday because I already did. I really wanted to get Umbra's point of view. I do want to bring Jamie in. Jamie, before I get to your brother, and I really kind of want you to go ham on this because there is something really to be said that there's some in between the lines things that people are not getting. One of the points of contention before I bring you in, Jamie, is the fact that in Seattle, they have a very specific rule when it comes to temps. I believe it's 18 months and then they got to go unless they're made permanent. And one of the biggest problems I thought for 343 Industries was bringing new people in who had to learn the slip space engine. And if they were unfamiliar with it, that would be a 3 to 4, maybe even a 5-month learning period. And then, of course, they got good with it. And by the time they got really good at it, they were out the door. Like Umbra said, people are in school, coming out of school right now with the knowledge of Unreal Engine 5. I think that is going to speed up development. I do hope that they do change some things at Microsoft regarding bringing in people as these temps, as these contractors, as they're known, because you can't develop games. You can't have someone incredibly talented be a contractor and then be out the door 18 months later, and there's some sort of a waiting period to hire them back unless you hire them permanently. It's a stupid rule, in my opinion, and they need to fix that forthwith. But, Jamie, before you get to you, Will Broke Boy Lewis drops a very generous $5 super chat. And Will goes on to say, Metacritic for Diablo 4 DLC gets an 85 on PlayStation and PC, an 80 on Xbox. Nothing in the reviews mention anything about performance issues, just story, new class, and controls. I think, Will, what you're seeing is this is just going to be the norm moving forward. I just don't. I mean, again, I don't want to run down this a deep dark rabbit hole. I just don't think, regardless of what Xbox does, whether they lead in value for their customers, whether they lead in flagship first-party IP, whether they lead on having a roadmap or even the best next-gen console and new handheld, they're never going to be given credit where credit is due. I've only been doing this for 6 years, folks, but I could tell you that in all of my time with gaming, I have never witnessed a platform get broadsided on such a regular basis that it's almost egregious than Xbox. It's so blatant with the gaming media that it has become, just when it happens, it's like, yeah, well, Sony can rob its customers blind, put out a console that's the highest it's ever been for a home console, and that's fine. Charge you $830+ for a disc drive and a stand and the console that doesn't do much past its predecessor in the PS5, and that's okay. Not talk about what it's going to cost for next gen upgrades from PS5 to PS5 Pro. No one has said anything, but no, that's okay. But it's just tiresome that Xbox will never, ever get credit, pretty much regardless of what they do. And it's just gross. Hargeet Chani, who's been a channel member for 25 months, goes on to say his only concern with the Unreal Engine is performance. Wish they had the opportunity to use the COD engine or ID Tech. Lots of internal studios that know the Call of Duty engine. Yeah, I mean, the Call of Duty engine is top tier. I just think that I don't know how compared to the PlayStation 5 to the Unreal Engine 5, is it able to be learned? I don't know, but we will certainly see, brother. RC Polygons drops a very generous $10 super chat, and he goes on to say, if Xbox fans, in quotes, want to leave because a game is going to PlayStation, let them. They can pay $70 for remasters and remakes and deal with Sony bending them over. At least they can still brag about exclusives. I mean, look, I've seen people say this. I'm leaving for PlayStation. Oh, okay. I mean, I guess I am an old school cat, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't sign off on the exclusive thing. I do think that there are some roads that should not be traveled. There are 3 IP that I do not think belong on PlayStation and should never go there. And that's Halo, Gears, and Forza. But I'm also not a money market manager. I don't have a degree in marketing, and I also don't run Xbox. And you've heard me say this before. I would run it the Peter Moore way. But then again, that's why I'm not in charge of Xbox. It's a business. Some of the business is dirty and filthy, and I don't like it. And again, is Halo going to go over? Your guess is as good as mine. I know someone in the chat had said that what that was his name? Tom Warren had made mention on this on June 6th. I read the article yesterday. I reread it actually regarding it being discussed about Halo going over to PlayStation. That's not confirmation because Tom said it. That he has heard that it's being considered. Is that consideration a lock? I don't think it is. But if you're going to leave to go to PlayStation because they're going to have a lot of Xbox games, that's cool. But you're also going to pay $76.43 just for the regular edition. To me, that doesn't make any business sense. But what do I know? We also have here. We have a new member, Soil Tech.
Yeah, Soil Tech, good brother.
How you doing, brother? Thank you so much for becoming a channel member. That's very kind of you and very generous of you. We certainly and truly appreciate that. And Nino Vistic, our good friend all the way from Hawaii, aloha, con sir. He has gifted 1 Double Barrel Gaming membership. That's very awesome of you. We super appreciate it. Jamie, let's bring you in. You've been sitting on the sidelines. I wanted Jamie rant on this one because you and I were talking in the green room, and the minute this news broke, it immediately invoked a lot of negativity, which I don't get it. But I understand there's some skepticism here. I'm not going to fight people on having that skepticism, but I'm excited. Obviously, Mr. Umbra, he has officially changed his middle name to Unreal Engine Umbra. What are your thoughts, Jamie?
What a doozy. This is a weird topic because, when the story broke on Sunday night, it was a positive story. It's the thing people have been talking about for a long time, and engines are the core thing when it comes to video games. And I've played a lot of video games in the past that have, let's just say, ran on questionable engines. Frostbite being one of them. Frostbite was an engine where they made Mass Effect Andromeda and Anthem that was basically held together by duct tape, right? It didn't have a full-on third-person camera in the tool set, so the developers had to actually make one. And that's why we never got extra content for those games, other than them, not selling well. But like the tools were just bad, right? No matter how good those games could look, the tools were bad, and we never got more content. And look, I think Halo Infinite looks amazing. I loved it, but again, there wasn't enough biomes. Everywhere kind of felt the same, so that was a big issue. But for me, I haven't had any more Halo content since the game came out because I don't play multiplayer. So I'll get into the engine thing in a sec, but Halo fans should have been allowed to be happy for 5 seconds because this year people have been through the ringer, right? For years, people have been port begging Xbox games even before all the announcements. And then in January happened, everyone started freaking out because of the rumors. Then we got those 4 game announcements. Everyone lost their marbles. Some people, quote unquote, jumped ship. That's a story for another day. And everything went back to being okay for months and months and months. And then we get the big summer showcase where everyone's super happy. And I saw a lot of people say it was the biggest showcase ever and best showcase ever. I have to agree with that. And everyone was happy. And then we get to Gamescom, and then the Indiana Jones thing happens. And it wasn't there wasn't any hype because of the release date, right? I'm basically the person that broke on Twitter that Indiana Jones was going to be 60 frames per second, right? Nobody paid attention to that because it was announced for PlayStation, right? So Xbox fans weren't allowed to be excited. People were losing their marbles yet again. And again, everything's calmed down. And then this happens with, the Unreal Engine stuff. Now, people want more content. They need a viable engine with a better tool set. They have many different studios around the world using Unreal Engine. So, we could be getting more content regularly, which is exciting. But again, we weren't allowed to be excited for 5 minutes because everyone starts saying, wait a minute, isn't Unreal Engine 5 a multi-platform engine? And then you have Tom Warren come out saying with these old articles saying there's talks. You have Paul Tassi and all these other people talking about how these games could go to PlayStation. Bear in mind, there's no game in development for PlayStation right now, as far as we know.
Yep.
And those renders we saw look great, but that's no indication of what the game's going to look like. Those are just engine renders. It might look like Halo Infinite, just, with prettier graphics. But like, we weren't allowed to be excited for 5 minutes. And that's my biggest issue lately, that no matter what the story is, people aren't allowed to be excited on Xbox. We get the best showcase ever in the summer. And rather than people going, yay, we actually have a roadmap that leads to multiple years in a row with possible like handheld hardware on the way, people weren't allowed to be excited. People kept on going, well, what about this game going multi-platform? If I talk about upcoming games on Twitter and on my YouTube channel, if you go to my tweets, scroll down whenever I post a trailer, GIF, screenshots, there's at least one comment now underneath all of them that says, can't wait to play this on PlayStation 5 Pro. They write this on Xbox first-party games. If I'm talking about Assassin's Creed Shadows or, a Sniper Elite Resistance, I don't get these replies, these third-party games. But if I'm talking about Xbox-made games, they show up. And like they are, I could talk about the most entitled group on the planet for a while, but this is a different story for another day. But Xbox fans weren't allowed to be excited. And look, Unreal Engine 5, people have their issues with that engine because some people think all the games look the same. It's still kind of early days for that engine, but what we have seen from that engine looks amazing. Stalker 2 comes out next month, phenomenal looking game. Hellblade 2, which released in May, arguably the best looking game of all time. The Gears of War E-Day trailer we saw looked mind-blowing, so the game might actually look like that when it releases. Like, it's an exciting time because the engine's evolving in a time where people think that maybe games can't look any better than they do right now, but you have these developers such as Ninja Theory and the Coalition pushing that boundary even further, and the fact that we could get a Halo game on that scale when it comes to visual fidelity, that's a bloody good and exciting, prospect.
Yeah.
But we weren't allowed to be excited, and that really infuriated me because yes, did Microsoft open up Pandora's box when they announced all the multi-platform stuff? Yes, yeah, like everyone's admitted that, right? But the fact that we can't talk about anything, and be excited about anything when it comes to Xbox without people bringing up, oh, I'm going to play this on PlayStation, I'm going to switch platforms. Okay, you're going to leave your library of hundreds of games to switch to an alternate platform where you have a library of 0. You're going to change your profile picture to a PlayStation character and stand all day for PlayStation games. That's what we see. But again, it's just an engine announcement, right? People should be happy because, again, it means more content. Like I said, I've had no new Halo content since the game released. And, they're moving to Unreal Engine. We can get more content regularly, which I like. Remember, we were originally going to get expansions for Halo Infinite campaign, but we didn't. And that engine is clearly hard to make content for. And them switching Unreal Engine just means that we're going to get more. And they said Halo projects, right? So that's plural. And does that mean we're going to get a Halo remake? Maybe. Does that mean we're going to get a follow-up to Halo Infinite? Maybe. But it's an exciting time for Halo because when Halo came out, it was in a bad state when it came to the multiplayer because there wasn't much content, but they had a good game there. So if they can get more content with a game that plays good, they have a winning formula. I just think that Halo has an uphill battle, not when it comes to the game itself, when it comes to people in general. People are going to hate on Halo no matter what it does, right? People have been hating on Sprint since Halo 4 came out. and honestly, for people that have hated Sprint since that game came out, they can't adapt their own gameplay style. We're going to cry about Sprint. And then we get the third person camera mode announced the other day, and people are losing their minds, right? But again, it's good news. I just think that, it really bothered me that Xbox fans weren't allowed to be excited.
Sure.
You know what? I'll read this. I normally post these dumb replies I get on Twitter, which I get every day, but I'll read this one out. So I wrote something like, Xbox fans aren't allowed to be excited about this Unreal Engine thing because of the multi-platform stuff. And this dude replied, and this is so sad, right? This guy wrote, But I thought Xbox was all about sharing and giving games to the gamers. Why would they ruin that? Why would they ruin your excitement? Unless it's not actually about. Sorry, if it's not actually about it, and it's actually about you getting to stomp on PlayStation gamers for some reason.
Wow.
Like
Yeah.
just because I said, hey, like look, in an ideal world, every game would be on everything, but the house isn't made out of chocolate, and I can't leave my door unlocked at night, right? It's not an
Yeah.
ideal world, right? So like Halo going forward, yes, I do think it should be an Xbox only thing, but that's a topic we can shelve to another day because again, they've just started development with the thing. You know, I just think that it's a good time for Halo fans because we know content's coming. We know it's probably going to be a next gen launch type thing, and the content we do have, we can tell that they're going to try and make multiple different biomes because Halo Infinite, again, it's basically the same everywhere you go. But yeah, that's it for me.
No, I mean, listen, it's a good point, and it's look, it's frustrating and it's incredibly disappointing that you have incredible news, you have a roadmap, you have anything that listen. I think that if you go back, just look at the year in a whole. Sure, has once again Microsoft gummed up the messaging and their marketing with certain things? Absolutely. Their messaging is egregious. No one is saying that. It's sometimes the left hand is not knowing what the right hand is doing, and it's very obvious. I don't know why that is, but their marketing not the greatest either. But at least as a consumer, if you want to take it down to the bare bones reason why you play on Xbox is as a consumer, you have a lot of things that Team Blue does not currently have. You have a service that is valuable beyond words in Xbox Game Pass. Your third party, second party, and indies that are consistently put into the service are second to none. There's just no other service like it. They have a first party roadmap that is so stout that it goes all the way into 2027 with a firm handshake. You know what's happening this year. You know what's happening in 2025. You know what's happening in 2026. And you can even suggest some IP for 2027 outside of a new console and a handheld. Not by rumors, by confirmation, right? Not by somebody doing a story they're looking to get, chasing the SEO click rate. Well, PlayStation 6 is in active development. Look out. Sure. They probably have a PlayStation 7 in active development on someone's desk right now. But the reality is that it looks as if Xbox is jumping PlayStation the same way they did in the Xbox 360 era. You have games, you have DLC. You know what you don't have happening on a regular basis to try and gum up money, to try and put anything together is the remaster station, which PlayStation unfortunately has become. Everything is remasters. I mean, it broke yesterday that they're redoing the entire original God of War series for potentially the PlayStation 6. Now, I mean, listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that those games, they're far enough old to warrant remasters or remakes at least. But is that what PlayStation gamers really want? I don't necessarily think so. And the reality is that there is a platform that is going in a direction that PlayStation was a couple of years ago, that they're no longer there. PlayStation has a couple of exclusives that came out this year that did, ring in a lot of sales. Again, some did not do as great as others, but something like your game of the year, Umbra. What's the one with the samurai?
The samurai?
Not the samurai, the one with all the monsters that you fight. That's like the Souls. That's your game of the year.
Oh, Black Myth Wukong.
Yeah, Black Myth Wukong. Yeah, I'm sorry, with the Monkey King. And the one I'm talking about with the samurai is the one by Koei Tecmo. Didn't do as well as it should have. Now, why is that? I don't know. But again, they've had some that hit, some that missed. But you can't argue that there is something to be said, gentlemen, about taking positive Xbox news and dumping on it because people in the community and in the quote unquote journalistic community know that they need to chase the search engine optimization, the SEOs, if you will. And that's unfortunate. But again, no one's ever going to poo on my parade and ruin it for me. I'm always going to be positive. We're always going to bring positivity to the community. But, gentlemen, we've been on this topic for almost an hour. And you know what? It's a well spent 51 minutes, because I think that this is a big topic worthy of this time. I do want to get into metaphor. And this is a bit of a combination topic, because obviously, because this is normally about a 90-ish minute show. I do want to kind of merge the two topics. Now, metaphor is already getting Game of the Year buzz. Umbra, this is a game I didn't expect to like, and I absolutely fell in love with it because of the demo. So much so that I bought the game. Now, again, I've already said this publicly. I am not an Atlas player, not because the games aren't fantastic, because they're usually not my type of game. This happens to just struck a nerve with me, and I cannot wait for Metaphor to release this Friday. I'm literally I believe at the last 15 or 20 minutes of the 5+ hour demo. I got to just finish up one. I think the last mission I'm on now, and then obviously the prologue will end, and I'll be sitting there waiting for the game to release. But in that same conversation, I don't think people, or especially there's certainly not a lot of talk on this. Now, I know that I've given Xbox the smoke for bad messaging, because they've had, and their marketing hasn't been the greatest. Sometimes you feel like they completely missed it. But for specifically October, just look at what's on tap for Xbox. Now, I'm not saying that it's not on tap for others, but they have marketing for this. And it started with what you see on your screen, Shattered Space. That was September 30th. And since then, I think it's going to be all uphill for Xbox. They have marketing from Metaphor, which is going to be Game of the Year. It is one of the most talked about games on social media right now. People cannot get enough of it. It is an Atlas gem. There's just no doubt about it. People are loving it. The scores have been through the roof. You also have Vessel of Hatred that just released. Now, granted, there was a bit of a hiccup. Thankfully, they didn't release it where it was messed up. They held the release back a couple of hours. They fixed it on the back end, and now people are out there enjoying it. Obviously, it's getting good scores, except for on Xbox, which I think that is just very pointed, but it's fine. But you also have Call of Duty. Not only the marketing for Call of Duty, but it's in Game Pass. This morning, when I turned on my TV at 8 o'clock in the morning, soon as I turned on the TV, flash screen right there, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 Game Pass on my TV. So they are hitting the ground running. This is Activision we're talking about. And again, I'm almost positive. I asked Jamie this, and he believes it's true as well, that they have the marketing for BioWare's next Dragon Age. I mean, if you consider having Metaphor marketing, Call of Duty marketing, Dragon Age, having two massive expansions in Starfield and Diablo 4, plus all of the crazy amount of content and games that have already released in the Game Pass, I think, Umbra, this is a quote-unquote banger month for Xbox.
Oh, 100%. And it's interesting because people would, I guess, bemoan the lack of first-party releases is for Xbox this year, and they wouldn't be wrong, because we only had Hellblade 2 so far, really, right? But as far as content in general from third party and even first party, with Diablo and such and Starfield, like you mentioned, we're still getting like crazy good stuff. Like it's not, there've been no slouch as far as content in general. So it's been a really great year, and like you said, a great month in general. I do want to highlight that Atlas. This has been a superb year for them, man. I mean, crazy good year. And not, mind you, I had never played any Atlas game before I played that ReFantazio demo. Now, I was enticed to play Persona 3, and I am going to get to it eventually. But you just look at the numbers of what they've done this year, and you look at, Persona 3 Reload. Xbox, of course, marketing for that. And now you had somebody claiming that why would Atlas give the marketing for ReFantazio to Xbox.
I did see that. Yes,
but I think if anything is shown that they made the right choice, Atlas, because they're seeing a resurgence that I don't think they ever would have thought they would get, and they have outdone themselves.
Yep.
Flat out.
yes.
So again, you had Persona 3 Reload sold 1 million in what, a week? You had Unicorn Overlord, which I didn't even know was theirs at first, sold 1 million after I think a month or so. You have Persona, Metaphor ReFantazio, which I'm thinking, and I've had this in my roundtable discussion I had on you guys can find on my channel. I've come to the consensus that I believe that is going to be Atlas's Elden Ring. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're not wrong, dude. You're just
That's what I
not
think.
wrong.
I think it's not only is it going to be a strong candidate for Game of the Year, if not flat out win it. I mean, we already see the reviews. It's looking insane out there. I think that this is going to be the Elden Ring in as far as sales. Now, Persona 5, I think, was their best selling, I think, where it sold about 5 million. So I think this will at least land at the 5 to 6 million range.
Mm-hmm.
So a big shout out to Atlas in general for this year. Well deserved. From what I played with ReFantazio and all the love I hear from those who have played their other games, from Unicorn Overlord to Persona 3 Reload. By the way, so just moving past that, the reason why I was so taken by it and playing that demo, and I wrote about it in a preview as I mentioned earlier. And if you all haven't checked that out, look on the Gaming Circle blog ran by our good brother K Asante. Man, they do so much right in this game, from the beautiful art style to,
I just did a combination that I just got
Mhm.
with the female elf on the horse, and
Oh yeah,
I
you did the synthesis attack.
Dude,
Yeah.
when he was riding the sword from what seemed to be out of space,
Yeah.
I got Knights of the Round kind of feeling. Like,
I can see that.
I sat back in my chair. I almost was late for the show, folks, because I just got that power. And I mixed these two different supers together, and I was like, holy shit. This gives me anyone that's a Final Fantasy VII stan like I am knows who Knights of the Round is. It is one of the greatest magics I've ever seen done, and that was done on a PlayStation 1. I mean, this game, I honestly I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. I've never played an Atlas game. The most I've ever spent in an Atlas game was under an hour for Persona 5 when it came out on the PS4. By my 4th train ride, I was sold it to a friend. I'm like, you know what? Just take it off my hands. I'm just, this is not for me.
Yeah, it's
and I never went back.
Trains.
So,
you like, look, I'm not trying to keep getting inside these commuter trains, man. I need some action in here. Where the devil's at? I need to fight somebody or something.
Exactly.
I feel you, Boom. And that's I get some games not going to speak to everybody, right? And that one is attuned to I guess more of a younger crowd, because you're in school, you're dealing with like the teenage kind of situation. I get it. Yeah, I get that. And I probably, when I get to it, I might not like it either. I'm just going to throw that out there. But I will say ReFantazio does speak to me because it's got that. I love the isekai-esque, landscape of being in this medieval fantasy world. I love all of that. I love the I believe they did such a great job with the voice acting. And you all know how I feel about the voice acting. I love voice acting. I would love to get into it, but you have great voice acting, you have great music, including the battle music when you get down to it with the it's getting you hyped and ready. I mean, it's so much well done. The animated cutscenes are superb.
It's
I think they did so much well with this game that it really caught me initially, and it really brought me into that world. And I like the political intrigue as well. I think that's something myself and I know Everborn both agreed with. is that we are really taken in by the story and political aspects and how they're handling that. Um, and I'm just really interested to see how it all unfolds. And I heard a bit. I had to tune away because I turned to what's the Kind of Funnies review for it. And they were like, "Oh, that twist." I'm like, "Oh, that's the end of the show for me."
Yeah,
But
I don't want to know anything. I haven't
yeah,
watched
I almost
anything
got
outside of
spoiled.
just people like you. I read your review twice, actually. It's
Thank
phenomenal.
you.
And reading it, like I said, I'm not an Atlas guy. I like JRPGs, but I've never been into them because of time. I'm gonna find time to beat this game. Like I know it's 80 to 100 hours, and that's just the main story. It is just so good. It is it. I don't know what else to say. This the smartest thing that Atlas could have done for someone like me, who is not an Atlas fan, and not because they're not a great studio. It's just normally those games are not my type because of time. I played the demo, and almost from inception, Umbra, I was like, "Holy shit!"
It pulled
I
you
now
in,
need
right?
to go play Persona 3, and I
Mm-hmm.
want to try Persona 5, but the reload one. I was talking to Jamie about it. He said it's more streamlined. So it's not
That's
as
what
many
I've
train
heard.
rides. That's
Yeah.
I'm gonna try it. But my backlog is just it's gross. It really is.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people, I think Danny included, praise Persona 3 over 5. So I definitely want to try it. Yeah, but like I said, I mean, just I can go on and on really about it, but like I do want to let Jamie get a chance, but um I like a lot of how they're handling it. Somebody mentioned in the chat a second ago about how they allow you to tag before you get into a team battle, for instance. And yeah, I like that aspect too. The squad battle, I think, is the actual name, squad battles. But like the fast battles is what they call it when you attack freely. So they have a mixture of fusion system where you can attack lesser enemies. Well, you can attack stronger enemies too, as long as they don't hit you.
Mhm.
Um, and kind of get a little edge on them before you go into a main screen battle with them with the team. So I like a lot of that, and I like the animations. And just to give you guys some context, because I talked about this during the round table, the demo doesn't do half as much as what you're going to actually get. You have like because you in the social sim aspects of that, from which I know is are shared in other Persona games as well, from relationships you'll meet with other friends and stuff like that. What I like about how they do it here is that it not only plays into the narrative of how you want to, I don't want to give too much away, but basically you want to gain popularity to win something very important in this game, and that is also tied to your relationships with people, ties into the battle system, into your archetype system, and empowers you to get new abilities and things like that too. So it's a double. I like how they did. I think that's smart implementation. And there are 40 different archetypes in this game, mind you. 40. That's 40 different, like 12 of I believe 14 different main ones,
Right.
but you have deviations of them, which adds to 40
I saw
different
someone
styles.
post one of like the because there's several you get the archetype and
Hmm.
then you can level it up.
You
And there
can.
was one that I saw that that the ground raised them all the way up into the stratosphere.
To the heavens.
And I don't know what happens because I immediately fled. I don't know what's going on here, but I don't want to know about it because again, I was almost late for my own show, folks. And this is not fake generated hype. I have never been excited for a game, for an RPG, a JRPG since Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I absolutely adored. And granted, I never
Mhm.
finished it. I got almost 3/4 through the game, and it was just gorgeous. And
I
I'm
would
so
dare say that Atlas has eaten Square Enix's lunch.
I think that they just might be. This year alone, if you look at everything that's come out for them this year, it has just been and everything has been a banger. It hasn't been like, oh, there's,
Yep.
like this game came out and no one really every game that has come out, people were like, wow, this is what? So I think they are the new champions of the JRPG. I do think they have taken potentially a couple of steps ahead of Square Enix at this point.
Crown them.
Yep,
I'm with you.
indeed. Indeed. Listen, before I bring Jamie in, I just want to catch up on some super chats, some gifted memberships, but I do want to just address someone in the chat. Nerd Rick. Welcome to the program. It's a name that I don't normally see. And of course, if you are a PlayStation guy or gal, welcome, obviously. That's perfectly great that we appreciate everyone being here, whether it's PC, Nintendo, or PlayStation or Xbox, you're welcome here. He asked a question, and it's a bit pointed, I think. He says, so why are we only hyped for these games because Xbox has marketing? Why are you hyped for these games, though? Well, first of all, I'm a gamer. I have a PlayStation 5. Actually, 2 games were just delivered. That you didn't hear the bell ring. Silent Hill and the remake of the horror game. Oh my God, Until Dawn. I bought them both. So yeah, I guess I'm a PlayStation, an Xbot, or a Spony. I think that's how they do it. They combination both of them. It's a pony and an Xbot together. I'm not sure how that works, but yeah, I actually bought PlayStation games. Shocker, right? But that wasn't the topic, and I don't know why you feel that you're a little bit like angry about that, because that's a bit of an angry comment. I'm hyped because Xbox has marketing for some major IP in the month of October, and I think it's going to bring more people to Xbox. I don't think that those games being on PlayStation diminishes the hype or makes it better, but this is an Xbox show, right? And the Xbox topic specifically was about the marketing. So I don't know where the confusion is there, Rick, to be honest with you, but fine. I am hyped for those games, but not because they're on Xbox. I'm hyped for those games because Xbox is my console of choice. And I am going to play all those games and that DLC on my Xbox. I don't know if that aggravates you or not, but you are welcome to stay and listen to the rest of the podcast. But I appreciate you being here. Let me just catch up on the additional super chats here. So we have Maxi Coleman drops not one, but 2 very generous $5 super chat. And he goes on to say, remember a few years back when the Microsoft Sega Azure Association came to be, and how everyone told us that it got nothing to do with Xbox. Yeah, I kind of remember that, and unfortunately that did transpire. Well, fortunately, it did transpire into something. And again, there's a little bit more. I have heard some things behind the scene that I'm not comfortable talking about until I'm given the okay to regarding Sega and Xbox. I will eventually drop that information once I get the thumbs up to do so. But it's very, very exciting, to be honest with you. Maxi Coleman drops an additional very generous $5 super chat, and he goes on to say, Metaphor has everything to become Atlas Final Fantasy. Yeah, absolutely does. The characters are endearing. The artwork is second to none. Again, I'm only in the prologue, so according to Infinite Umbra, there is so much more. And I'm talking to Black Viking behind the scenes. He says that the epilogue that we're all playing, I'm playing through, that the Umbra played through and saw him and many others, is not even a scratch of the surface of what Metaphor is when the full game releases. He's reviewing it for his channel, so he's going to give us more when that's done. We also have Aries_EMS. Wow, this is incredibly generous of you, Aries. Thank you so much. Has donated once again 10 Double Barrel Gaming memberships. That is very kind of you, and we truly appreciate the support. But Jamie Moran, let's bring in this combination conversation, because I think as much smoke as we will go and give Microsoft for their messaging, which has been egregious at times, their marketing is sometimes very questionable. This year, not so much. They've had quite a few games in there that they were marketing, Pal World being one of the biggest ones. And again, they're in the midst of a big lawsuit right now with Nintendo, but that game just launched on PlayStation 5 as well, and it's doing potentially really good there. And I think they're going to have backing from Xbox. I think they're going to have backing from PlayStation, because they signed a animation deal with Sony Interactive Entertainment for Pal World movies and films and anime. So they're going to have backing there. They have backing from Microsoft, because obviously it's still in Game Pass. And I don't think that Nintendo is going to win this one, to be honest with you. I think Nintendo actually is going to get the L, as they should, to be honest with you. But they've had so many others. I mean, they had the marketing for the new Mana game, which is the first time ever on an Xbox. That is a big, big deal. Let's talk about it, Jamie. Again, let's get your thoughts on Metaphor, how big this game potentially can be, and just some caveat before I hand over the mic to you. Did you find folks know that Final Fantasy Pixel Collection is in the top 10 most purchased games on Xbox? Did you know that? And I think that is a really big deal. So if you combined that with the Mana game that sold pretty well on Xbox, and now of course Metaphor, which is expected to sell quite a bit on Xbox, I think that is going to potentially pull the cover off of studios not wanting to put their JRPGs because Xbox actually do buy games. Holy shit, folks. What a revelation. But by all means, Jamie, take it away.
First I'll talk about Metaphor, then I'll talk about the whole, marketing thing for Microsoft, because it's a big year for Microsoft. So when it comes to Metaphor, like, this is Atlas's biggest game this year. Like, they've had multiple different ports this year. They had Shin Megami Tensei 5 released on Xbox and Switch and PC, I think. So that was a big deal. And they had Unicorn Overlord, which people loved, and Persona 3 Reload is massive. That is a great game. It launched in Game Pass. Highly recommend people try it. And also, if people do have Game Pass, the expansion pass is available in your perks, so you get the expansions for free. And that is a big game. Like, Atlas has had one hell of a year, and they dropped this game, and it's looking like one of the best games of the year. It's a huge fantasy JRPG. It's arguably the best Atlas game, biggest Atlas game in a very long time. And this is on a bigger scope than previous Atlas games, right? You have a bigger world, more interesting characters. You have these fully animated cutscenes, which we have had in Atlas games in the past, but this looks like it has way more of them and higher quality standard of them. So like, Atlas has managed to like raise the bar for themselves every single time. And it looks like they're not stopping. Like, there's rumors of Persona 6 in development. We might say that next year, but from what I played of the game, it's fantastic. It does prove that people do in fact like turn-based combat, which I kind of find really funny, because people hate on turn-based combat, but as soon as they play a game like this, they're like, okay, you know what, it is pretty good. But they haven't one hell of a run, and I didn't get that far into the demo because I'm saving myself for the main game, but I love the setting. I think a lot of people are really going to enjoy it. And the really cool thing about Atlas is that the way they make their games, they make them so you can make them as easy or as hard as you want. And some people find JRPGs really difficult to get into. So if you just want to play for the story, you can do that. And like you said, Boom, they make long games, really long games. Like, this game's main if you saying it out loud sounds kind of crazy. Its main story is 100 hours long.
Yeah, it's just insane.
Like, that's absurd, but hell, at least you're getting your money's worth. And I think, they've made an interesting game here that's going to resonate with a lot of people. I think Atlas have been wanting to get, like you said, this might be Atlas's Elden Ring moment, because a lot of people's eyes are on this as it's something different. It's arguably one of the biggest JRPGs of the year when it comes to length and just style and everything. So, hey, it looks like it's going to be a great game. Can't wait for it. But when it comes to the whole marketing thing, and that person that mentioned, like, why are we excited about marketing deals? Like, I'm not excited about marketing deals. It does nothing for me. I think it's good for Xbox when they do these marketing deals, because people still refer to Xbox as the live shooter box, the dude bro box, but like, they have a lot of single player games on their platform, and it's important for them to get out there and let people know, hey, this JRPG is coming to Xbox, and them getting marketing rights for something like Metaphor ReFantazio is bloody huge, because they get their logo on the box. And remember last year with the Xbox logo scare? That was funny. It's a big deal, right? It's a big deal. People want more JRPGs on Xbox, so if they get their name out there and just advertise, hey, you can get JRPGs on an Xbox, it does help. The Pixel remasters have been selling really well. And if you really think about it like this, the Pixel remasters, it's a £64 collection of 30-year-old games.
Yep.
Selling really well on Xbox.
I bought it.
Yeah, selling really well on Xbox in a time where there's a lot of big releases in the UK. Multiple different FIFA bundles are selling really well. Red Dead Redemption is on sale for like £18. Like the Pixel remasters, even being in the top 50, is a good thing. But it being number 19 as of yesterday or something, like that is really, really good. Especially since there's been next to no marketing for them. So people know about these games and people want more. And then you have these big, high quality JRPGs like Metaphor Fantasio come to the platform and being marketed with Xbox. That's why people like us, we recognize why it's a good thing. And Dragon Age and all these other games that are being marketed with Xbox, like Xbox, their weakest point has been marketing for a long time, right? They have a console out that has backwards compatibility with all of their previous generations of consoles, right? And it's not on the box itself. Do you know how much that infuriates me? Like they don't even talk about half of the features. And let's be honest, like Microsoft, their weakest point outside of messaging is marketing their own games. So when they actually get marketing, rights for third-party games, that helps the platform. It helps the platform grow. And single player is a big aspect at the minute where people are getting kind of burnt out on live service games. People have had enough. If they get the marketing rights to all these single player games, people look at them with interest, realize because there's people still to this day that have told me they didn't know that like most of these single player games were even available on Xbox. So like when they get market rights, it gets it out there in the wild. So like when you have all these big games along with their first party games and you have Call of Duty launching in Game Pass, like that is freaking huge. And it's the biggest Call of Duty in years. And if you're a campaign only player, congratulations. It's going to be the biggest campaign in years with the longest development cycle. You have level-based zombies back. The multiplayer, and I'm saying this as someone that does not play multiplayer anymore. The multiplayer in Black Ops 6 is freaking phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's so much fun doing the whole omnidirectional movement, being able to sprint.
Dude, it's the fastest multiplayer I've ever played. It's just so quick.
Yeah, and it's basically first-person Max Payne 3 multiplayer. That's the best way I can describe it.
You're not wrong.
And it just works, and it's so much fun, and like that is a big deal. You also have the big third-party, Xbox Game Pass stuff such as Stalker 2. Stalker 2, people have been waiting for this game since 2007. Like it's been a long time coming. It's like, look, we can all hate on Xbox for their messaging. Their messaging has always been terrible. But when it comes to first-party output and their relationship with other, studios and getting these games in Game Pass and marketing them on the platform to let people know, they are doing a really good job at the minute. And that's what I'm saying.
I mean, listen, regardless of whether you support one platform or four, there's games for everyone. I think from an Xbox gamer's point of view, there is a lot to get excited about. It's funny because, like supposedly the Xbox community doesn't buy games, right? That's the running narrative because of Game Pass. There's been a lot of narratives in the last couple of weeks. Game Pass is a lie because they didn't include the Starfield DLC as part of your service, forcing people to pay $30 for the for the DLC. I mean, PlayStation charges $180 and very rarely puts their own first-party games in, certainly not day and date, and they take them out, just like they did with Horizon Zero Dawn, because they want you to buy the remaster. But again, that's what I'm talking about, like I said, I referred to earlier, as it being okay for one, not so much for the other. So I pulled a story regarding the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster. Now, it is in the top 10 currently of most paid games. Interestingly enough, in Japan, thanks to a story pulled from Windows Central, this was updated October 5th. Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster Collection has shot up to first place, the number one spot on top paid games in the Xbox store in Japan. So, yeah, it matters that you get those kind of collections. And it matters. Who wrote this story? This was written by Alexander Cope. This was last updated October 5th, which is a couple of days ago. Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster title climbs high on the Xbox store, proving that Xbox players actually, quote unquote, do love and buy JRPGs. What a shocker. ladies and gentlemen. Look, there isn't much more to say other than the fact that if you are an Xbox fan, you have a lot to look forward to. Now, again, if JRPGs are you're not tickled pink like I am, and you didn't go out and buy the Pixel collection because I did, and that was actually on sale. Normally, I didn't realize this. It was an $80 collection. It was on sale on Xbox. I don't know if it's still on sale for $60. So I went and bought that the minute it became live, and that became live obviously right after TGS 24, and then of course Metaphor comes out on Friday. And whether you're buying it or not, that's entirely up to you. I am, like I said, if you want to try it, at least go try the demo. The demo's free. You can look for the Metaphor demo and give it a shot. And if it's not your bag, like I thought it might be for me, I saw so many people talking about it. I was like, you know what? Let me give this demo a shot. And now I'm in trouble because I'm still haven't finished the Starfield DLC. I purchased Silent Hill 2. I purchased another PlayStation 5 game, I keep forgetting the name of it, Until Dawn remake, which I said I wasn't going to do, but FOMO got me with that. And it was $60. At least it wasn't 70. I'm hearing that it's not really running well on PC. It's only running at 30 frames with no 60 frame mode. I mean, it's whatever. I don't really care. The game is phenomenal. I just bought a couple of Switch games. My backlog is just egregious at this point. And this is an 80 to 100 hour RPG, which I'm not going to front. Like, I'm going to be playing this game. I am going to kind of put down everything. The new Halo season started today, the Halloween season. So I'm mad because I want to play that. I just need to either clone myself or get a lot more eyes and hands.
I was just about to say we need to clone ourselves.
Yeah,
sure.
There's just not enough time in the day, especially when you do 5 shows a week. But just as a quick reminder, we're going to do outros. We're going to make sure we're caught up on Super Chats. Hopefully you enjoyed today's conversation. Honestly, it's my favorite show in a while. All we did was laugh on the show. We had a lot of fun. I hope you had a lot of fun. I want to thank you all the Super Chats that did pop in here, the channel memberships that continue to come in. We actually did get an additional $5 Super Chat from Will Broke Boy Lewis. He goes on to say, not sure if you mentioned it or not, but it's official. IGN just released the launch trailer for the original Red Dead Redemption coming to PC on October 29th. That is pretty dope for anyone. I know I saw the presser for the Undead Nightmare DLC. I didn't see that it was also Red Dead Redemption. So if you are a PC gamer, Red Dead Redemption is coming to PC. That is a really big deal. And hopefully you get a chance to play it. If you haven't already, that was a phenomenal game. Legendary in its own right. But thank you, Will, for the additional $5 Super Chat. But again, if you enjoyed the show today, folks, please consider hitting the like button. If you are someone that found the channel for the first time and appreciated the banter, please consider subscribing. Mrs. Boom and I are on the hunt for 16K, and we're about 700 and change away, a mere 780 somewhat subs away. I don't think we're going to hit it by the end of the year, but you can help us get there. And just a real quick programming alert. There is not going to be a new Breakfast with Boom this Friday morning. I have been invited to something that I am under NDA. I cannot speak about. I will be able to speak about it when that NDA lifts on the 29th of the month. And hopefully I'll have some stuff to show and definitely have stuff to talk about. But I'll be there dealing with that on Friday morning. And of course, there is still a show tomorrow and Thursday. Let's get everyone out of here. Infinite Umbra, let's sell the brand of The Fix. That is a show that you and Daniel McGee do each and every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you talk about wrestling, you talk about movies, and quite frankly, there is a lot of Spider-Man talk because that Noel film that potentially is going to be the 4th Spider-Man film with Venom and multiverse, that is a conversation I cannot wait to hear because that book with Noel, I forgot the name of it, something in Black, where Noel just whoops the ass of the Avengers. I'm looking forward to see that they just signed a new deal. Sony is going to be working closer with Marvel. Their movies are going to all connect, which is dope. Let's sell the brand. Where can people subscribe to your YouTube channel? But more importantly, follow you on social media.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Boom. It was a fun conversation. Thanks for having me as always. Jamie, thank you too for holding down, doing your thing. Thank you to the chat for you guys doing your thing and making sure you didn't cross the line by questioning my dear Unreal Engine. I would have followed you home and praised, like tried to give you a pamphlet like I was a Jehovah Witness for Unreal. Have I introduced you to our Lord and Savior? Let me stop. No, but and I get tired. I get goofy. I apologize.
Me too. I get punchy. I definitely get
Yeah.
punchy. There's no doubt about it.
All love to you all in the chat. Yeah, of course, we guys, you can find me on X, Twitter X, whatever you want to call it. Or I guess since he's Dark MAGA, Dark Twitter. You can find me on Dark Twitter under Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way. Of course, Thursday night is going to be a good one because, well, they're always good in my opinion, but it's going to be really good this week because we're having a Halo roundtable discussion. It's going to be myself, Danny, of course, Kay Asante, Everborn Saga, Pixel Bit G, and I may try to get one more person. I'll see, but I think that's more than enough. Halo, and for the most part, I guess Halo will be the main discussion because it's just a lot for me to get out as far as excitement for it, and I know they have things they have to enlighten us about too, and some thoughts. So should be a really good discussion. So I hope you guys can come by and check us out this Thursday, 8 o'clock Eastern, so 7 o'clock my time. But yes, thank you all again.
Well, definitely appreciate you being here, brother.
Super chat, by the way. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I just saw that pop in there. So thank you so much, Umbra. Great to have you here as always. Appreciate you, taking the time to be a part of the show. And obviously, I'm looking forward to hearing what everyone has to say regarding the big changes for Halo. Day Reezy, speaking of Halo, drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, complain about the new Halo logo on social media, and maybe they'll change it. Also, the logo could be a new exclusive studio logo, not the games logo. Yeah, I don't think I don't think it is the games logo. I think that is just the studio's logo.
Yeah.
If you look at it very clearly, it says Halo Studios. So again, it's a bit bubbly, it's a bit cloudy looking. I just think that it's so different from 343 and from Bungie. That's why I like it. It's such a removal from what those studio logos were, which this is according to Heinz, who is the studio lead, that they're treating this as a turning of the page. He specifically in the pressers talked about chapters. Chapter 1 was Bungie. Chapter 2 was 343 Industries. Chapter 3, which should be the only chapter moving forward, is going to be Halo Studios. I appreciate the difference in ideologies. I like that they're going to Unreal Engine 5. I like that there's multiple projects. I like that they understand that we need more single player. These are all positives. I could see people not liking the logo. I don't hate it. I think it's so different, so vastly different than the others. That's why I like it. Could it have been done better? I suppose.
It's not enough to make me take away any excitement. I'll put it to you that way. It's like whatever. Yeah. At the end of the day, all we care about is if they give us a great game.
Yeah, so, that's what I'm hoping for. Yes. Yeah. But listen, Jamie, let's sell your brain. You have a podcast happening with Logan Meyer later today. I believe it's going to be 6 p.m. Eastern. Let's talk about where they can check out the All Things Xbox podcast. Subscribe to your YouTube channel and check out you and Logan this evening. But more importantly, if they want jokes, if they want excitement about gaming, where could they follow you? On Twitter.
Yeah, thanks, Boom, for having us on once again. It's always a pleasure talking to you guys. So my YouTube channel's The Elusive Gamer. I'm just a smidge away from hitting 5,000 subscribers.
Nice.
So hopefully we'll do that tonight. And I have All Things Xbox podcast, which is on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, where we're going to talk about Final Fantasy, some Halo stuff, some Ubisoft stuff, bunch of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, we keep all the fanboy stuff out of the show and off my channel because there's too much of that online. And, you know, again, that's exclusively Xbox with a lot of Mass Effect thrown in there as well. And my Twitter is Jamie Moran UK, where it's exclusively gaming and jokes.
Well, Jamie, we're looking forward to tonight's podcast. Obviously, we're looking forward to hearing the Halo Roundtable this Thursday on the Fix with Infinite Umbra, Danny McGee, and quite a few other very prominent members of the gaming community. And of course, I want to thank everyone that tuned in today. I want to thank all the super chats and channel memberships that popped in. They helped more than you could possibly imagine. And of course, I want to thank everybody for taking the time to check out the show. Obviously, we're never owed anything. These shows live and breathe and die with the fact that we have people that tune in. I am always grateful that anyone does, and you're always gonna hear me say that, because again, we take nothing here at Double Barrel Gaming for granted. We truly appreciate the support by clicks, by views, by shares, and of course the monetary back end of it. Well, we can't do the big giveaways without your help, and you help us out in a big way. So we are always going to be grateful. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day, folks, it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.